if you read this sentence, you can understand, you can realize that this question has been directly taken from Upinder Singh. See, Bhasa, another important playwright, was author of works such as Madhyama Vyayoga. The very first work that Upinder Singh mentions is Madhyama Vyayoga. Hello aspirants, welcome back to our Prelims Charioteer Programme. So as you might already know from the last videos or last few videos, this particular program aims to make you self-sufficient in your preparation to break your cutoff in Prelims 2025. So today we will be discussing the second component of our Prelims Charioteer Programme, which are sources. So earlier in the first video, we had already covered the first component, that is themes or micro themes which you have to focus upon to get marks in prelims. So in the second video, we are moving on towards the component called sources. So naturally a question arises, what is a good source? There are several sources to cover UPSC syllabus. Most of them are standard books. Then there is a newspaper. Then there are magazines, current affair compilations, and so on. So here initially we will look at what is a good source which you have to invest your time in. For example, let us take the case of the standard book Spectrum for Modern India. Say in history questions in last few years. Let us take the case of last 6 years. If you had studied Spectrum, how many questions could you could have answered from Spectrum alone? That determines the importance of Spectrum as a source or a high priority source. If you check the case of Spectrum, you could easily identify that only 4 or 5 questions could have been answered from Spectrum in the last 5 years or 6 years. And even for those questions, there are multiple other sources. So that makes Spectrum for Modern India a low priority source. Once a while, it was a high priority source which fetched you a lot of marks, for say 3 or 4 questions per year. So if you look at the last 2 or 3 years, you can see that the importance of Modern India itself has declined in the prelims paper. So that fetches the question, what is a high priority source? So the high priority source for prelims should satisfy 3 factors. Number 1, the strike rate. So instead of 4 or 5 questions in 6 years, that means less than a question per year. A high priority source will give you at least 2 or 3 questions per year. So that is a high priority source strike rate would be at least 2 to 3 questions per year. And secondly, exclusivity would be an important feature of a high priority source. That means the particular knowledge that you derive from this particular source will not be available in any other standard book or any other general sources for UPSC. So that makes the content exclusive to that particular source. So that is the second factor, exclusivity. And what about the third factor? So the questions from these particular sources should be asked consistently by UPSC. Say they asked a question in 2018, so they asked 3 questions, and then they have not asked any question from that particular source. Or then they asked 1 question in 2022. So that means there is no consistency in the number of questions from, or whether or not a question will be asked from that particular source. Then that source lacks consistency. So if it is a consistent source, then every year at least 1 to 2 questions will be asked from that particular source. So now we will discuss one such source as part of our course. So if you join our course, we will give you many such sources. Say 6 or 7 such sources are there for all the subjects. So now we are going to discuss one such source, which is a high priority source. And we will illustrate to you why this is a high priority source. So we have arrived at Upinder Singh, which is a textbook for ancient and medieval India. So Upinder Singh is none other than the daughter of our former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. So she had written a textbook, A History of Ancient and Medieval India, Early Medieval India, from Stone Age to the 12th century. So this is actually a textbook for PG students. But if you revisit the UPSC Prelims PYQs for last say 10 years, you can see that almost 90% of the questions for ancient and medieval India as well as art and culture could have been answered from Upinder Singh. And almost every single one of them have been directly quoted from Upinder Singh. So that makes it a high priority source. So we will see few such questions. We'll move on to 2024 prelims itself. First question, Sangapudi, an Indian Buddhist monk who travelled to China at the end of 4th century CE, was the author of a commentary on which of the following textbooks? So that was the question asked by UPSC in 2024 prelims. If you look at Upinder Singh, take the PDF of Upinder Singh and search these keywords, say you search about Sangapudi, then you will arrive at this particular box. So you can, if you read this sentence, you can understand, you can realize that this question has been directly taken from Upinder Singh. Because see the sentence in Upinder Singh, many Indian monks who travelled to China during the centuries belong to Kashmir. They included Sangapudi, the author of a commentary on Sarvastivada Vinaya, who was in China in this particular year. So if you look at the sentence, you can understand that this particular question has been directly taken from Upinder Singh. So now let's move on to the next question. Which one of the following is a work attributed to the playwright Bhasa? Of course, the most legendary playwright of India, Bhasa, belonged to the Gupta era. And his most eminent work, the eminent work of Bhasa is Swapna Vasavadatta. But UPSC has not provided Swapna Vasavadatta in the options. But actually, they have taken this question also from Upinder Singh. Or at least you could have directly answered this question if you got prepared using Upinder Singh. See, Bhasa, another important playwright, was author of works such as Madhyama Vyayoga. The very first work that Upinder Singh mentions is Madhyama Vyayoga, which was option C and was the correct answer. So, again a question directly from Upinder Singh. See the next question. So, you have to keep in mind, I am only taking the tough questions here. Because all the easy or medium level questions from history, you could find from almost all the sources. And that includes Upinder Singh. But if you study Upinder Singh, you could answer also the hard level questions or the very difficult level questions. We can see one such question here. There is a matching question. Chandraketugarh, Odisha, trading town. Enam Gawon, Maharashtra, Chalcolithic site. So of course, Enam Gawon you could get from any NCERT textbook or any ancient India standard book. So Enam Gawon you could answer using any textbook, of course including Upinder Singh. But what about Chandraketugarh? What about Mangad? What about Saligundam? We'll see. This is Upinder Singh. Mentions Enam Gawon as a Chalcolithic site. Exactly as by UPSC. Enam Gawon, Maharashtra, Chalcolithic site. Take the case of Mangad in Kerala. This is also mentioned by Upinder Singh. And it is Mangad, even the district of Mangad is provided in Upinder Singh. It is provided as a megalithic site. Mangad, Kerala, megalithic site was the question from UPSC. Now take the case of Salihundam. See, Salihundam is mentioned as under the categories of stupas, Buddhist stupas, along with Nagarjunakonda and Ramatirtham. So even that was mentioned by Upinder Singh. So all these columns or rows, you could have gained knowledge about all these rows from Upinder Singh. So another question again taken from Upinder Singh. See the next question with reference to ancient India. Gautama Buddha was generally known by which of the following epithets? UPSC has provided 3 options, and below you can see the sentences from Upinder Singh. Heavenly Buddha is called, referred to as Shakya Muni, option 2. Now, another chapter from Upinder Singh is mentioned as the Tathagata, option 3. And of course, Buddha is not known as Nayabutta. Actually, it is a reference to Mahavira. So even these informations you could have gained from Upinder Singh. So another question from Upinder Singh, and all of these questions were asked in 2024 prelims. What about 2023? Another difficult question in 2023 prelims was about Dhanya Kataka. So it was in which of the following regions was Dhanya Kataka, which flourished as a prominent Buddhist center under the Mahasangikas located. So now look at Upinder Singh. The Buddhist monastery at Amaravati was located next to Dhanya Kataka, the capital of later Shatavahanas. So Amaravati, of course, you know, Amaravati, Nagarjuna Sagar, all of them belong to Andhra Pradesh. And also the Satavahana Empire majorly existed in the Andhra region, Andhra and Deccan region. So you could have easily arrived at the answer, and you could have actually known about Dhanyakataka, which is another capital of Satavahanas, the ancient Satavahanas, using Ubindra Singh. So yet another question from Ubindra Singh. Now in 2022, 4 textbooks names were given. Actually, some of them Avadana Shadaka, Nettipagarana, all of them were difficult names. So you could not have known about them using the general standard textbooks. But look at Ubindra Singh. Mentions all these texts. Trishashti Rakshana Mahabhurana by Jina Sena. So it was actually a Jain book, not a Buddhist book. So it mentions about this one. Is of course a Jain textbook. Then what about Parishishta Parvan? It is also mentioned as a history of Jaina teachers. Another Jain book mentioned by Ubindra Singh. See, Avadana Shadaka is mentioned as a Buddhist text. And also Nettipagarana. Nettipagarana is also mentioned as a Buddhist text in Ubindra Singh. So all these textbooks and detailed information about these textbooks were mentioned in Ubindra Singh. So another question directly from Ubindra Singh. You look at the strike rate of Ubindra Singh. Almost every question have been answered from or have been taken directly from Ubindra Singh. So now look at another question about Sangam literature. Sangam poems are devoid of any reference to material culture and so on. Sangam literature refers to magical forces irrational. Now look at Ubindra Singh. It extensively provides a whole paragraph about the magical forces called Anangus. So Anangu was the name of the ghosts or magical forces prevalent in Sangam era or Sangam literature. So if you had read Ubindra Singh, you would have understood that this is a wrong statement because they accepted magical forces called Anangus. Yet another question from Ubindra Singh. So we can go on and on. Every other difficult question that has been asked from ancient and medieval India have been asked directly from Ubindra Singh. Or at least you could have answered or eliminated options if you had read Ubindra Singh. So that means Ubindra Singh is a high priority source for your prelims preparation. So this is how, using the reverse search of questions or PYQs, you realize which of them are important sources that you have to prioritize and which are the sources that you have to avoid prioritizing. Like take the case of spectrum, or take the case of ancient India NCRTs, the old NCRTs by R.S. Sharma. So they are no longer high priority sources. Say one question out of the 10 questions every year might be answered from R.S. Sharma. But you need not read R.S. Sharma for that alone. You could have read Ubindra Singh and answered all the 10 questions, including that one question. So then why bother about R.S. Sharma and other low priority sources? So in this way, you should identify the high priority sources and eliminate all the low priority sources, which will save you a lot of time. So in our course, we will be providing you the tricks or the methods using which you can identify what are these high priority sources based on PYQs for each of the topics, for each of the subjects, for economy, for geography, for polity. For polity, of course, there is a high priority source which is Lakshmikant. Even this year, those who refused to read Rashmikant or rejected Rashmikant as a low priority source, they must have suffered a lot. Because almost 20 questions were asked directly from Lakshmikant. Not 20, say 15 questions were asked directly from Lakshmikant. And those were easy questions as well. So Lakshmikant stays on as a high priority source. So now you have Ubindra Singh as another high priority source. So the problem with some such sources like Ubindra Singh. So you can look at these quotes or pictures that I have screenshotted from Ubindra Singh textbook. You can see that it is a very difficult textbook. Congested space. The content is not given according to syllabus. So and it's also a 1100 page long textbook with these small words. So that makes it difficult for you to, as an aspirant, to cover this textbook. But based on PYQs, in our Prelims Mentorship program, we will provide you the exclusive summary of Ubindra Singh from a PYQ angle. You need not cover the entire Ubindra Singh, which is a very highly time consuming process. Instead of you going through that process, we will cover this for you and provide you the content. And apart from that, you will also be able to identify other such sources based on the skill that we impart to you. So this program is ultimately aimed at self-sufficiency in clearing prelims. rather than providing a lot of content. So by now, you would have understood the second component of our Prelims Mentorship program, which are high priority sources. So that is it. If you want to join our program, the details are provided in the description. And we will be coming soon with a lot of other videos. Thank you.